Joining us now to talk about the Republican Party's efforts to stay competitive in this recall, Jessica Millan Patterson, the chairwoman of the California GOP. Thank you for being with us tonight. We appreciate it. So the Republicans are certainly galvanized behind the recall effort, but the recent polls show that Newsom is likely, very likely, in fact, to stay in office. I'd like your reaction to that, as well as to the fact that pundits are saying that's because the Republican Party has not managed to expand on its base.
Well, it's a good news for us, Pam, that polls don't vote, people do. And what I can tell you is that I'm pretty confident in the modeling that we're seeing with turnout. This is an effort that was not started in the Republican Party. This is an effort that was started by grassroots people, Californians of all political stripes, some of the 20,000 businesses that had to shut down permanently in the last year, parents who watched their children finish a second year with remote learning, individuals who have lost their homes because this governor lied to us about what he was doing with wildfire prevention. People that are sick and tired of watching the homeless problem only increase here in California. There isn't many Californians that haven't been affected by this governor's incompetence.
Jessica, COVID seems to be top of mind for most people right now, limiting our activities, what we can do, what we can't do. I'm just wondering, we all know what the governor has been doing. We've heard some of what the candidates on the Republican side are offering. What do you think is the best way to handle the COVID problem in this country, and in particular in California right now?
Well, I think that this governor has done a terrible job, whether it was the rollout of the vaccination process. If you wanted more people to be vaccinated, he should have done a better job with the rollout. The millions of dollars that he wasted on a website that barely registered people to get it, if you could even get in, that was a huge problem. And I think what we're seeing now with the mandates is only going to hurt Californians and Americans even more.
To get to the point, though, I mean, I understand the criticizing of the governor, and that's why we're having the recall. But when you're going to vote for a Republican, what are you going to get from a Republican on how to handle COVID? Are you going to get rid of the mandates? Are you going to get rid of face masks? Are you going to get rid of school districts requiring vaccinations? What is the Republican solution to the COVID situation?
I think that you will see more freedom here in California. What we're seeing is just an absolute push on the Constitution and on our freedoms in this state and in this country. And I think that Californians and Americans are sick and tired of it.
So you want freedom more than the vaccinations or COVID?
Well, I'm fully vaccinated, and I recommend people get vaccinated. But I think that mandating it is not the way to go.
Larry Elder has led the recall candidates, but your party has not endorsed anyone among the many people who are running to replace Governor Newsom should the recall succeed. Do you think that was a mistake? Do you think you'd be further along in the process had the party endorsed someone? And would Larry Elder be the person who you would want to lead?
I feel very good about where we are. Our number one focus at the California Republican Party is voting yes on question 1 and turning out the vote to recall this governor. Each one of these candidates is going to have to make the case to California voters as to why they should be the ones to succeed Gavin Newsom. And to be quite frank, any one of those Republicans would be a better governor than Gavin Newsom.
The Los Angeles School Board just voted today to mandate vaccines for all students 12 and older. The governor can't really say anything about that. Rick DeSantis in Florida is having this situation right now where he's trying to get schools to do that, and they are defying that. What do you think a Republican governor in California should do with schools and vaccines with students?
Well, I think a Republican governor in California would help parents to get more choices, whether it is schools breaking down and standing up to the unions that kept our children out of schools these last 2 years. We saw, California was the last school in the nation when it came to getting our kids back into school. So I think you'll see a governor who will be standing up for parents and standing up for students, because clearly this governor has not done that. Not only his incompetence when dealing with it, but his hypocrisy. When most public school children could not go back to school, this governor was sending his own children to in-person private school.
Jessica Millan Patterson, thank you so much for your views and for being with us at this hour of the night. We appreciate your perspective.
Thanks for having me.